Yes, Genshin Impact. If you're watching this video, you're either a person who's ever played and wants to learn the basics, you just wanted to look up a guide after you've started, or maybe you're making a reaction video to this for some random reason. I don't judge. Hey, maybe this see how to game series gets traction sometime and start making reactions like Maxwell's do. Your reasons for being here don't matter. What does matter is that you're here with me as I walk you through these basics of Genshin Impact. Let's start with movement. The basic movement in the game is the same as most other games, with the stamina mechanic. Genshin also has climbing and gliding as a form of movement, both of which will waste stamina. Speaking of stamina, the max stamina is based on the level of the statues of the seven, which we'll get to at a later point. Now we've covered movement, let's get to the attacks. Start with the simplest one, is the normal attack. Normal attack is the most basic of attack. There are many versions of it. First, you have the auto attack, which have no limit on usage but tend to have a lower multiplier, which is to say the amount of damage it will do based on your attack. Auto attacks are done by simply pressing the attack button over and over again. You have the charge normal or charge attack. A charge attack is done by holding down the attack button, which will use a certain amount of stamina to deal a slightly stronger attack. The stamina cost and type of attack done is based mostly around weapon type. Last but not least, we have the plunging attack. Plunging attack is done by pressing the attack button while a certain height above the ground. When a plunging attack hits the ground, it will cause smaller enemies to be pushed back, and heavier enemies will be more likely to stagger. While you also take decreased fall damage. You likely won't be using plunging attacks very often, unless you happen to pull Xiao during one of his reruns, who happens to heavily increase his jump height and plunge attack, shockwave radius, and damage. The next attack is the elemental skill, the foundation for all of the elemental damage. An elemental skill happens when you press the elemental skill button. The elemental skill will generally be your primary source of elemental energy through the generation of elemental particles, and will usually have a higher multiplier than your normal attacks will. However, after being used, will go on cooldown for a set period of time. The last attack type is the elemental burst. Generally your biggest source of damage and or support. The elemental burst will normally be the move with the best multiplier or effects of your abilities. However, the drawback of the elemental burst is that it requires a set amount of energy to be used, while also having a set cooldown. I've gone over the attacks, it's time to go over your general team composition. Teams generally comprise of a DPS character and 3 supports, or 1 DPS character, a sub-DPS, and 2 supports. A DPS is a character whose sole purpose is to deal damage, usually gaining boosts from the rest of the party. A sub-DPS is a character who augments the DPS's damage through off-field elemental reactions and damage. And a support is a character who directly augments the DPS's damage through buffing the DPS or debuffing other enemies. But supports can also do things such as supply shields or heal characters. Good examples of great supports are Zhongli and Bennett. Exploration. Exploration is maximally important in Genshin as it's an open world game. I won't dive too much into exploration, but let's get started. There are a few things that are very important when exploring Genshin Impact. These are the oculi and the statues of the seven. Each region in Genshin has statues littered about that represent that region's archon or god, and with them comes each one's respective oculi that can be offered to them. When standing near a statue of the seven, you will also heal all your characters back to full health. However, it has a limited amount of healing, which you can check by interacting with the statue and pressing on statue's blessing. Each archon's oculi is with the archon's element, with oculus tied to the back of it. So they are Anemoculus, Geoculus, Electroculus, Dendroculus, Pyroculus, Hydroculus, and Cryoculus. Currently, we only know of the Anemoculus, Geoculus, and Electroculus, since currently we only have 3 of the 7 regions unlocked. Speaking of the elements, let's talk about some of those. Or more specifically, let's talk about the reactions. All characters in Genshin have an element, and these elements are able to react with each other, causing certain things to happen. Here are all of the currently existing elemental reactions as of the time I'm writing the script. Melt is Pyro and Cryo. When this reaction occurs, the attack that triggered the reaction has its damage multiplied depending on which element caused the reaction. If the element was Pyro, it does a 2 times multiplier. If it was Cryo, it will be a 1.5 times multiplier. Vaporize, Pyro, and Hydro. When this reaction occurs, the attack that triggered the reaction has its damage multiplied depending on which element caused the reaction. If the element was Pyro, it applies a 1.5 multiplier. If it was Hydro, it will be a 2 times multiplier. Overloaded, Pyro plus Electro. When this reaction occurs, it will cause a small explosion dealing AoE pyro damage with heavy hit stun. Electrocharged, Hydro and Electro. When this reaction occurs, affected enemies take periodic damage, the amount of which and the damage is based on which element was the one that reacted. If it was Electro, then it will trigger twice and do 2 times the damage. If it is Hydro, it will trigger once, but the Electro element stays, allowing for a follow-up reaction. For example, causing electrocharge and then going into a superconduction reaction. Superconduction being Electro and Cryo. When this reaction occurs, enemies will take cryo damage and will have their physical resistance lowered by 40%. Frozen, Cryo plus Hydro. When this reaction occurs, it will cause the enemy to be stopped in place. When hit with a heavy attack, either a Claymore or a Geo attack, they will be afflicted with Shattered, which does a small amount of damage and clears all elements, does not affect bosses. Swirl, Anemo plus any element besides Geo. When this reaction occurs, it will spread the affected element to the surrounding area and deal swirl damage of the corresponding element. Burning, Dendro plus Pyro. When this reaction occurs, it causes the affected enemy to take constant pyro damage. Not much is known about this reaction as there are no Dendro characters as of the script being written. And no other Dendro reactions are known. Crystallize, Geo plus any element besides Anemo. When this reaction occurs, a crystallized shard will appear. When picked up, a shield will form around the player that will absorb a certain amount of damage. The shield will best absorb its own element. Elemental Mastery will increase the damage and absorption of all reactions. Elemental Mastery can be increased through artifacts. Character building and development. Now that we've talked about Genshin's elements and character team composition, let's talk about the characters themselves and how to upgrade them. Your base level of a character has a fairly simple upgrade system. Actually making the number itself go up is done by using an amount of Mora or currency in one of 3 experience items. Wanderer's Note, worth 1,000 experience, Adventurer's Experience, worth 5,000 experience, and Hero's Wit, worth 20,000. In total, you will need 8 million worth of experience to level a character from level 1 all the way to 90. However, you cannot level a character all the way to max right from the beginning of your journey, and that is due to the Ascension system. Depending on your Ascension level, your max level will be different. You ascend by using 3 items. No, it's 4. A certain amount of crystal-like object, some local specialties, a common enemy drop, and a small amount of a boss-specific drop on top of some Mora. You can't increase Ascension levels from the get-go either, as those are locked by your AR, or Adventure rank. In total, you will use 2 million Mora to level a character, 1.6 million for the actual number increase, and another 420,000 from the Ascensions, which is the equivalent of $3,809, as the conversion rate is $1 is 525 Mora. Artifacts. Artifacts are what actually give your character their strength. If you want an in-depth showing of how the artifact system works, you could probably find a guide on it, but I'll just summarize it for you. You go to a domain, beat the domain, then get artifacts with main stats based on the artifact type, and a random assortment of substats that can go up to 4 different ones, and cannot be the same. Cannot be the same as the main stat. An artifact will either upgrade or add a random number or a random stat if there are not 4 stats already every 4 levels. The boost a stat gives and its max level is based on rarity. A 1-star can only go up to +0, a 2-star can go up to +4, a 3-star can go up to +12, a 4-star can go up to +16, and a 5-star can go up to +20. Artifacts also have 2 and 4-piece set bonuses that give specific effects. Talents are how to increase your multipliers of your abilities, and the upgrade process is pretty simple. You use common enemy drops, some mora, and talent books, which, just like artifacts, can be found in specific domains. Bringing all 3 talents to level 10 cost 4.8 million mora, which is the equivalent of $9 grand in dollars. You also get constellations when you attain a duplicate character, which can give great effects. Now for the part many of you might have been waiting for, the wishing system. The gacha system in most gacha games are the same, just with different numbers. In Genshin Impact, you are guaranteed a 4-star weapon or character every 10 pulls, or 1600 Primogems. Pity in Genshin refers to the limit in which you are guaranteed a 5-star every 90 pulls. There is also the 50-50 system for event banners. When you pull a 5-star, there is a 50% chance that it is the banner 5-star, or any of the standard banner 5-stars. But hard pity refers to when you don't get the event banner character, and thus the next 5-star you pull is guaranteed to be the banner 5-star. Let's go over the different banner types. Beginner's Wish banner has the 10 pull at the cost of 8, but you can only do 20 pulls in total, and only do it in 10 pulls. The first 10 pull is guaranteed to have Noel, or is that it? I can't scroll. It's guaranteed to have Noel. The standard banner is the banner where you can get all of the 5-stars at the same rates, while having a limited selection of 5-star characters. These characters are currently Jean, Diluc, Kuching, Mona, and Chi-Chi. These are the characters you will get when you lose the 50-50. The event banners are where you get every limited time character. Almost every 5-star in the game is a limited time character, besides the standard banner ones, except for the one time where Kuching had to sub in for a banner, due to specific circumstances. There can be 2 event banners up at once. Weapon banners are the banners that host the event 5-stars signature weapons. I'm still not yet sure how the pity system works on weapon banners, as they're quite complicated. Tell me in the comments if you know exactly how it works, because I cannot understand them. Now, before I send you on your way to the world of Genshin Impact to begin your journey, one last tip. Every 21 hours, you gain a total of 160 resin, and 160 is the max, which is how you get most things in the game. It's highly advised that you use that resin every day, especially if you are a free-to-play player. You will also have daily commissions every day, and these are a free-to-play's main source of Primogems to pull for new characters, and you will get 60 Primos a day from those. Well, that's all I have for you. That's it. Go away. Get out of my house! Hello guys, Sarah K here. I initially recorded this. The initial recording of the video was 3:34 on the 19th. Like PM, not AM. It is now 12:32 of the 20th. I am tired. in case that wasn't obvious. I spent a lot of time getting all the footage and stuff I needed for this, and if you may have noticed, the PNGs don't really work, and I just said screw it and went with it. I'm tired, and I'm not gonna bother trying to figure out how to use these PNG things. Find me on Twitch. This will be going out early morning on the 21st, and I will be streaming Genshin on the update, whenever that is, and I will be pulling for Shinobu and probably raising her to her max potential that I could bring her to. I hope to see you all there. I'm gonna do like some cleaning in the house, and then I'm gonna just go to sleep pretty early so I can wake up early tomorrow morning, probably have this video scheduled by then. Well, take care. I've got stuff to do.